and she's been kicking up a fuss about career opportunities after giving birth. She hasn't been getting her way at the company, so she probably came here to ask you to speak up for her. Is that what happened? Career opportunities after giving birth? Elena supposed it was considered a form of career advancement since Mia wanted to kick her out of the picture and take over her role as Aaron's wife. Well, it is a serious matter. Elena thought about it and held up a hand. Give me 5 days. Come back in 5 days to tell me what you want. Mia was delighted. She looked at Elena and asked, "Will you help me with this, Mrs. Reed?" "Of course."
Elena smilet sincerely.
Things are tough for all mothers. I can't dismiss your contributions to the company and Aaron just because you've had a child. Give me at most 5 days, okay? Once I've recovered and been discharged, I'll give you an answer that'll satisfy you. Mia's eyes glinted nastily. She gave Aaron an alluring look before leaving. He parted his lips to say something, but Elena beat him to it. As your wife and the person who helped you establish your empire, it's only natural for me to deal with things that you might not be able to handle. Don't worry too much about this and let me rest for a few days. We can talk about it when I'm better. Okay? Aaron swallowed his words. His gaze was dark and unfathomable as he looked at her. Ultimately, he looked away. You're the best wife a man could ever have, and it's the biggest honor in my life to have you by my side. No matter what happens in the future, I'll always be by your side. Regardless of how tough things get, know that I won't leave you. I'll never forget everything we've been through together. Time passed in the blink of an eye. It was time for Elena to be discharged, and it was also her final day in this world. Sean called her early in the morning. Her words were the same as before. Deal with my assets as you see fit. All you need to do is ensure the divorce agreement is given to Aaron by the time I've set. Then the funeral parlor called her. Are you sure you want us to send a hearse to your home to collect your body at midnight, Miss Frost? She laughed. Of course. I'll be dead by then, so my body has to be taken away. You don't want me to rot and stink up the place, do you? Aaron entered the hospital ward at that moment and heard her on the phone. He asked, "What are you talking about, darling? Why are you talking about death so early in the morning?" Startled by his presence, she quickly hung up. Then she nodded and said, "I won't talk about it anymore then. I guess I'm just a little glum because of the stroke of bad luck I've experienced lately. First she had a stomachache. Then her period had come. After that she had a high fever and pneumonia. What was that if not a stroke of bad luck?" To think Aaron was the cause of her bad luck, too, his heart ached at that, and he pulled her into his arms. "Let's go to Crimson Peak after you've been discharged so we can pray there. I'm going to pray for your health and safety. How about we have a child once you're all better?" Aaron actually wanted to have a child with Elena. She looked at him curiously, but all she could see was a cloud of fog. It concealed his face and she couldn't see his features no matter how she scrutinized him. Well, that was that. She wouldn't look at him anymore. Then, after handling all the discharge procedures and returning home to change into something more comfortable, Aaron and Elena drove to Crimson Peak. They got out after parking at the foot of the mountain. Aaron hesitated when he saw the steps leading upward. "Can you handle this, darling? Will you be okay climbing so high up when you've just been discharged? Can your body take it?" "Yeah," Elena said. "Besides, I have you, don't I? You could carry me up a mountain back when we were dating. It's only been 3 years since then. I'm sure you can at least support me when I need it." They'd hiked a mountain on their last trip before marriage. Elena had run out of strength when they were almost at the peak and couldn't take another step. She'd refused to budge even when the guide had tried to pull her up. Aaron was the one who'd stepped forward to carry her to the peak. Then he'd held her in his arms as they'd admired the sunrise. Elena had to admit that they'd been on superb terms then. Aaron had genuinely loved her. His love for her had run so deep that he'd willingly put his life on the line for her and prioritized her needs over his. Her eyes prickled a little at the thought of that. Then she took a deep breath to calm herself. She allowed Aaron to hold her hand and support her as they made their way up the hill. They rounded one bend after another. There was only one left before they reached the peak. The chapel's facade was already in view. Just then, Aaron's phone rang. He walked away to answer it, but the distance was short enough for Elena to hear Mia's heart-wrenching cries on the other end of the line. "Help, Aaron. Our baby just fell off the bed and hit his head. He has a huge bump now and he won't stop vomiting. Aaron instinctively turned to glance at Elena. Then he clenched his free hand. What's wrong? Elena looked curious yet trusting. Is it about work again? Do you have to be there right now? She emphasized again. He would have caught her drift if he'd been paying attention, but Mia and their son was all he could think about at the moment. How could he notice her words or expression? There's an emergency. He looked up at the chapel, which was about 100 yards away. He stood on the steps stiffly, unable to make up his mind. You should get going if it's urgent then. Elena waved a hand, feigning lightheartedness. You've already come a long way with me. I can make the rest of the journey myself. There will always be paths in life that people will have to walk alone. I can't expect you to be by my side at all times. Aaron's Adam's apple bobbed. Elena. Go on. She waved again and smiled at him, her voice as gentle as always. He didn't hesitate any longer and turned to leave. The further he got, the faster he walked. Once he turned the bend they just passed and disappeared from Elena's line of sight, the tears she'd been holding back finally started to flow. She dried them silently and continued the rest of the way, stopping to catch her breath every few steps. She made the rest of the 100 yards with difficulty. Then she headed into the chapel to pray. Heavens above, I beg of thee. I wish to never see Aaron Reed or Alveria for the rest of this lifetime and future ones. She spoke briefly with the pastor before making a generous donation. Then she went down the mountain and headed home. After arriving home, she called a trash collector to take everything she'd packed away. She also asked the men to remove the soft furnishings she'd purchased and get rid of them. Elena smiled at the sight of the empty villa. She sat on the couch and waited for midnight to arrive. She waited from afternoon to just before midnight, but Aaron didn't show up. He didn't even bother calling her. Had Mia finally run out of patience? Did she have to force Elena's hand and make Aaron choose? Elena curled her lip mockingly. Then she sent the photos and video she'd gathered to Sean. She also transferred $1 million to his bank account. I need you to help me with one more thing. After arranging everything, she put down her phone and grabbed the fruit knife she'd prepared. The blade was sharp, and she didn't feel much pain when slashing her wrist. Blood soon started gushing out. Her soul seemed to be jumping with joy at finally being able to leave this body. She looked up at the chandelier. It was the one thing that belonged to her that she'd left intact. She needed it to light the place. After all, Elena vaguely heard the hearse approaching as the lights flickered above her. She couldn't help thinking that everything was going according to plan. She wondered whether Aaron would be happy with this. Aaron and Mia kept busy for the rest of the day. They brought their son to the hospital for a checkup and fed him medication. He grew tired after crying throughout the day, so the nanny took him away to tuck him into bed. That was when Mia wrapped her arms around Aaron. I miss you so much, Aaron. It's been so long since you were last inside me. You've been by your wife's side this whole time. I bought a new costume, you know. It's a bunny one. That was enough to capture Aaron's attention. His breathing immediately grew heavy. They couldn't get enough of each other as they went from the living room to the bathroom and then to the custom-made waterbed in the bedroom. Once they were done, Aaron leaned against the headboard to rest. Mia leaned against his chest, still looking sultry, when she started tracing his torso with her fingers and moaning about wanting more. Aaron couldn't help remembering the gentle yet resolute look Elena had given him before he'd left. His chest tightened. She'd looked so obedient and trusting. She'd believed him when he'd told her he had an emergency at work, and she'd insisted on completing the climb to the top of Crimson Peak to pray for a child now that he'd told her they could start a family. How could he leave someone as wonderful and loving as her to sleep alone? How could he not be by her side in the middle of the night? That's enough. He kissed Mia's forehead before pushing her hand away. I just thought of something I need to do, so I'm heading home. Take care of our baby. I'll drop by another day when I'm free. Aaron. Mia staggered out of bed and brushed the ears of her bunny costume against him. However, he ignored it and opened the closet. A row of identical shirts was hung inside. He grabbed one and put it on. As he passed through the living room, he grabbed his coat from the couch and hurried out the door. Then, he sped back to his and Elena's marital home. As he was arriving, he saw a hearse. Although he was exhausted physically and mentally from his previous activities, the sight of the hearse made him jolt. Had someone died? Why was there a hearse? It seemed to be coming from where he and Elena stayed. Could it be?